Oh my goodness gracious. You ready, missus?
I'm
It's
ready.
the welcome back show.
Holy cow!
Pressing the button.
Holy cow.
Yeah, what's going on, missus?
Busy
All
day.
right, let's see. This will be the first surprise, I guess, the fact that we're sitting here.
Hello.
There's so much to cover today. Oh my goodness, I don't even know where to start. Let's start by bringing in the cameras. Hi, Mrs. Ryan. Welcome back to
Hi.
you. Welcome back to everyone at home. Hello. Today is Wednesday, November 11th, 2019. It's 11/11, Mrs. Ryan. I don't know what that means specifically in our world because I don't follow the astrology as much as you do and all that stuff. But when it comes to just things lining up, I feel like it's a good day.
In astrology, it's a gateway day.
Gateway Day.
Yeah.
How does that work?
11/11, the double numbers and the pairings and.
So it's good in general.
Yeah.
I'm not just having good vibes from
No.
nothing. Cool. Well, Mrs. Ryan, it's a big day for us. We should start with who is here this evening. This evening we have two wonderful guests. Gosh, I guess you could say they're related. Husband and wife. Rod and Amy Emery are here. They need no introduction. If you've seen this show, you for certainly already know who they are. But we're really excited to talk to both of them. Rod's been here before. We've never had Amy. Now we've got them both together. Mrs. Ryan,
Awesome.
it's going to be exciting. We should probably start. We've got a lot of hellos, and we need to move it on pretty quickly because, again, those guys have not that much time. But we should probably start with why we're sitting here, Mrs. Ryan.
Yeah.
Today's
that would be
11/11,
great.
and we are still here in the home base, the comfort of our very own home studio. And it's a sweet sour thing because I'm not sorry that we didn't have to do the work of moving all of this stuff. I'm really not sorry about that. But I am sorry that we're not sitting in the gallery at the PEC like we thought we would be. However, I assure you it's all for good reason. There will be better things coming from it. And we'll tell you all the story in a few minutes here. But basically, this is still the Porsche Experience Center 3rd anniversary week here in Los Angeles. And we're going to be celebrating it all week on the show with Porsche guests and friends of the PEC. And the only difference from the actual plan is that we just won't physically be there.
Yeah, we'll do it here as the annex, I believe. Is the...
I love that. The annex.
do too.
Yes. All right. So the story, let's see. When we all left you, it was Halloween, Mrs. Ryan, my favorite holiday.
Forgot about Halloween.
And we had Tony Callis here, and that was outstanding. What a great guy. What a great guest and great visit it was with him. You know, he was so nervous, and he relaxed right afterwards. And to see that, I was like, oh, man, I can't wait for you to come back because you're going to be like this when you get here next time.
Yeah. It's tremendous.
But so we left everybody saying, okay, we're going to be at the PEC on 11/11. That's when we'll be back. We went dark for a week. The very next day, I believe, we had the morning shift over at PEC, and we were having a meeting after the morning shift. And I guess to briefly back it up a little bit further was our friends over at the Porsche Experience Center. First of all, grateful to all of them, G.I. Jen and everybody who works there. They had been asking us to do this show there for a while. I mean, a while, like since we met.
Over a year.
And
A while.
it was never, we can do a show at the PEC, but to do our show, that's one of the reasons we changed the name. It's about the environment. It's about the mood. It's about the conversations that take place in the environment. So it was a harder thing, and we needed to really set things in order to and meet certain parameters for us to be able to do it. We had set all that stuff up, and then when we had this meeting back to current last week, we had that meeting. There was a corporate buyout for the space on the one day in the middle of our thing. One of the parameters for us was that we have to move in. We have to move into a space for a week and live there, and that's kind of how it works. You can't fight a corporate buyout for Porsche. You know what I mean? It's one of those things, and it was going to be right in the middle, and then we worked up this other plan. Luckily, Jeff Swart was so nice helping us, and G.I. Jen, and everybody kind of, and our production designers and set decorators came in, and we had this whole powwow. How can we still do it? Can we crunch? Can we cut some things, simplify some things? We said, yes, absolutely, we can do that. And at the end of the day, it was going to be like, yes, we're going to build on Thursday. We'll do a show Friday, and then Saturday, and then fold it up and go home. It was like... That's not really, it just didn't really align. But the backstory is this was always supposed to be sort of a trial run, sort of a proof of concept for a larger event, and it looks like we'll probably just skip the proof of concept. And I can't announce anything official yet, but there are other larger Porsche events in the future, more global events than just the local PEC anniversary, that it sounds like we'll be involved in. So that is a little bit more exciting for us as well. So that's the story. There's no drama. My goodness, G.I. Jane was supposed to be here today. She's so busy with the anniversary setup that she couldn't be here.
Today was a photo shoot. Like, she's got
Are you serious?
so
That came up out of nowhere.
Yes, and she's got so much going on.
Our plan was to have this come out of her mouth so that you would, whatever, so that you would know everything was fine. But G.I. Jane, we love you. She knows that. Everybody else, we love G.I. Jane. There's nothing, you know what I mean? There's nothing bad here. We took the week off, and that's not really true because we ended up having tons of meetings, phone calls, powwows, and we'll get to that a little bit later in Dave Watch. So, Mrs. Ryan, enough of my verbosity. Holy cow, how are you doing? Sorry for all that, but I think I got to everything with that story.
Doing okay. I had a great chat with an old friend today.
Oh, really? I heard you on the phone this morning.
Donna, my hockey goalie. Yeah, our reunion is next week for the hockey team. And I'm obviously not going, but she called to check in and say hi. And
that's so nice.
She's going to call me after and say hello to everyone for me.
That's really cool.
Awesome.
We've mentioned this on the show sometimes. Mrs. Ryan used to play varsity hockey for University of Michigan. Also may come up helpful in Dave Watch.
Yeah.
All right, so that was what's going on. The morning shift event was fantastic. What a turnout. It was great to see everybody. Can't wait for the next one again because it feels like we're almost there already. Then we had meetings, calls, the weekend. Oh my gosh, the Hunzikers. Oh, all right. Now we have something bad to bring up. I'm so sorry to bring it down for 2 seconds, but I have to. And we're going to link the GoFundMe for this in the comments below. One of our dear friends and one of, everybody's Porsche family members out here in Los Angeles, certainly, the Benton family has suffered a great loss. Luckily, all of the people are fine, but the Benton shop suffered a horrific fire the other day, and a lot of stuff was lost. Thank God it was just stuff. But meanwhile, to all of us who appreciate all that stuff, once the people are accounted for, all you look at is the stuff.
It's important stuff, too.
Yeah, it is. And it's historic. And it's not just historic for, the community. There's also a man's lifetime work. Many people's lifetimes of work in there as well. So there is a GoFundMe. But we highly encourage you. It does not matter if it's $1 or $5, whatever. It doesn't matter. Every little bit helps. So we highly recommend you do that in the link below. And much love to the Bentons and all of the Benton Performance family. My goodness, that was a gut punch. There's been a few lately in the Porsche family out here.
It's been a heavy weekend, but it's big for the community, and everyone knew about it. And kisses and love to all of you guys. There's so much in there. Yeah. And Malibu Kitchen, we love you. Thank you, Susie, and everybody yesterday at the Scouts and Coffee event. That was totally kidding. That was really enjoyable. Yeah.
Okay, Mrs. Ryan,
tremendous.
some of this stuff we should probably skip till tomorrow to get the Emorys in here, but some of the stuff we have to do. Let's see, I've got an orange curtain. That was from, we'll skip that till tomorrow. I love it, but we're already past the time. All right, East Coast feed. Let's do a real quick East Coast feed.
Okay, great.
Check it over here with Danbury Chive and the East Coast feed. See what's going on over there. I have no idea where they are, Mrs. Ryan. Let's find out.
So we're East Coast feeding live from the Newtown Bar Crawl.
Newtown Bar Crawl!
It's a charity event for Hope on Main Street.
I did.
It's a American Cancer Society benefit. So just let you guys know, we're walking. What time at night is it? It's like 11 o'clock?
11:30, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
11:13.
People have been drinking for hours. We lost Brooke along the way. I think she's driving back with Megan.
She is.
You see, that's what I'm talking about. It's a bar crawl. You need to like stay with it. Look at Greg. He's carrying a fucking box of shirts that we're doing for charity. Anyway, love you guys. I want to say the random love. East Coast feed. Say what's up, boys and girls.
What's up?
Oh my goodness. Well, if you wanted some good energy, there you go. Oh, what a good group.
Good job, Casman.
We don't drink anymore. Haven't drank for a long time, and it's never going to happen again for me just because I don't miss it one bit.
Nope.
But my goodness, the amount of fun those guys all have and the good work that they do raising money for charity while out there just having fun drinking.
Yeah.
It's kind of neat. I mean, something good coming out of it.
Better than I did.
All right, Mrs. Ryan, it's time to check in with...
Yippee.
Mrs. Ryan, that song, my goodness, denotes that I'm going to bring up this calendar here. Oh, gosh, it's the wrong month.
Oopsie daisy.
And while you give everyone the update, I am going to update this calendar. Mrs. Ryan, what's going on with Dave Watch?
Everything's ongoing, but we seem to be in a pocket of just absolute affection from that camp. Just protection, and we talked a lot about what we were going to do at the Porsche Experience Center and taking our show as a road show and what that entails.
Slow down. What other people don't know is from the last time we talked, you've been trying to get a hold of Dave's guy, and then blah, blah, blah. And then the guy said, okay, I like it. I'm going to take it to Dave. Now we know it's a true story, the whole thing. And you were just simply following up with him. Now you followed up with him. You had a long conversation. You followed up with him again. You guys have now an ongoing relationship that's happened since we've been dark. I know it's to you, it's all the last couple of days. But,
yeah, sorry.
But over the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, it happened real fast.
A lot of stuff has been going on behind the scenes. So Dave's guy, we've been referring to him as Dave's guy, is now, I don't want to say call him our guy, but he's identified himself as a friend of the show, being our show. And that was just a really cute, tickled moment, because in the industry, that means something. With that, now Mrs. Ryan has a relationship, and please take it away.
Yes, it feels...
I feel like old you are reigniting a little bit in the way your business synapse fire. So.
To say more so that this feels very much like old school PR days of like, we're both old school veterans. Like, we both do the old school thing of like, it's not cash grab marketing.
Didn't it turn out that he actually remembered you from PR days?
Yeah.
When he worked on a different show?
Yeah, a different talk show. Yeah. And remembered who I booked and like more than I did. And like,
that's pretty good.
It's pretty awesome.
So today is November 11th. I'm making an X denoting that Mr. David Letterman is not here. However, for all of you at home, we've been wanting to get David Letterman here for all of the obvious reasons. However, the truth is it's always been a stepping stone for us to try to get to their camp to then hopefully be shepherded or mentored or whatever, have our hand held through this crazy system by a bunch of people who've done it before. We've gotten to that step, it seems like. We've got somebody who's willing to help support and give us advice and help us a little bit. So that, to me, is amazing. Now, I don't know whether or not David Letterman will be here, but to me, it's sort of, we're already past that point because we're getting, into the actual nitty-gritty of it.
Yeah, it feels that way for me, for sure.
Although I'm still pretty sure that David Letterman is going to be sitting right there.
I think so, too. It feels very big. There's lots of very big conversations happening, and I love being part of them.
How exciting is that? Exciting is that? Today's guest was here. He was one of our very first guests, and we were sitting in this same very room, but at a dining room table with a completely different setup, and I just can't believe that in, a year and a half, this is what's happened. So, Mrs. Ryan, with that, it is time to ask the question that's on everyone's mind. What's going on, Mrs. Ryan?
There's a woman in Tennessee that is actually a sociology professor, but on her side gig, she decided to start a free sewing camp.
A free what?
Sewing camp. Teaching girls, young is mostly girls, but like how to sew and like how to make it a business.
That's amazing.
It's phenomenal. So it just got me thinking of like all the ancillary skills we all have that we can just give education to people just by virtue of being in their lives.
We talk about that on the show sometimes too, Mrs. Ryan. It's a really good point you bring up because when you're young, you think, oh, I'm amassing all this knowledge. I got to hang on to it. I got to keep it. That's my value. This is all I have, and this is what I'm going to trade under. And then at some point you realize that the whole thing is about is spreading knowledge and everything, ideas and just firing synapses with each other. So I think that this is just one little tiny area.
Yeah.
Don't mind that. There's some electricians doing some work backstage. I don't even think the mics will pick it up. But
it came up in my call this morning with like neither of us know how to cook. Like we couldn't. My college friend, like we don't know what to do. Like you never know what people don't know. They don't know.
Yeah.
How to sew.
Fundamentals are important. That's where we go back to Mr. Rogers all the time. It seems like even as adults, maybe especially as adults, we forget the fundamentals.
Yeah.
I'm excited at our guest here today because I kind of feel like he built a business based on fundamentals and proper good good life manners.
They're good ones to explicate that for sure. The Tesla Model Y, which is a crossover, yeah?
Oh, I get them all confused.
I do too a little bit, but the Model Y was spotted down in Florida at the Kennedy Space Center.
Oh, it's a new one. Gotcha.
It's one of the newer fleet. It's apparently big news that it was spotted all the way in Florida because they're made out here in California. So they're testing long range.
Oh, for the batteries and stuff. That's cool.
So heads up, look around.
Neat.
The Meow Mix jingle is getting redone.
Wait, I want chicken. I want liver. Meow mix, please deliver. I know it from. I mean, I remember the thing, but it was from Austin Powers, right?
I think it started there. The commercial was not words; it was just sound.
Meow 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 meow.
Yeah, and now they're going to do a metal version and a Latin version and a whole bunch of other
rock out.
It's been around 50 years, that song.
That's amazing.
I didn't know. So there's going to be a whole new rash of jingles from different ethnicities.
That's cool. I got no problem with that. I think it's cool.
It sounds super neat.
Yeah.
And then lastly,
all right,
the Polar Express is actually going to be a train in California.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There's going to be one in
I love that movie.
The Valley.
That movie gets a lot of hate. I love that movie.
Oh, it's
if you
so
can get over
good.
whatever you don't like about the animation, that story is so stinking good.
It's so good. And it reminds me of like how we used to roll out musicals, like in smaller markets and then go to the big ones.
When
and
you
then go
used to
national.
literally do it. When you used to literally launch musicals.
Yes. Back in my old life, I used to launch musicals. So they've done the smaller ones, and so then now there's going to be 2 out of LA proper. One's in the Valley, one's in the Inland Empire.
Okay.
And they're reading the stories on the trains and doing Dancing Hot Chocolate from the movie.
That's cool.
So
do we know if they're actually steam engines? Because that to me makes a big difference, and I can't imagine that they are always, but still pretty impressive.
I don't know the answer to
That's
that,
cool.
but I'm going to say no. But it sounds super neat, and it's November, December.
I
of
love
LA.
it. That sounds awesome.
Polar
Hey,
Express.
and that sound means that's been what's going on, Mrs. Ryan. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, you're a delight. I'm so happy we're back. I'm so happy we're here. I wish we were at the PEC, but I'm still so happy we're here.
Yeah.
Coming back in just a few minutes, we are going to be celebrating the PEC anniversary with one of, gosh, I don't know how to describe it. Well, gosh, he's one of the original Porsche outlaws for sure, his family, and just one of the best Porsche guys we know. Rod Emory with Mrs. Emory. Amy is going to be here as well in just a few minutes. More to come right after this.
You're so chill today.
Yeah. Maybe I'm just glossed over.
It's possible. Maybe he's just straight up exhausted. Is that what it is?
I was in the shop at 3:30 this morning. So.
Oh my goodness gracious! Well, with that,
3:40.
we are sitting here with the Emorys. Everybody, Rod and Amy Emory, welcome back. Welcome. Well, hello, welcome. Welcome back to you, Mister. I know
Thanks
it's not
for
even
having
really
us.
like the same spot. Does it feel at all the same?
Not even close. No.
You probably, I mean, a lot of life you've lived since then. Do you even remember that experience? It was so
I do.
small in the beginning.
Yeah, it was great. Then it was kind of startup. Now this is Hollywood, man.
I was thinking back on it, and I didn't go back and watch the tape, but I'm pretty sure from my own memory that you were the first person that we told about the desk and chairs.
You did definitely tell me about this. So it was,
because of your 46 car and the whole, it was your life's work and you were the right guy to end up with the whole thing. It just felt like, well, I've got sort of a story in my closet I haven't really leaked out yet. Do you remember all of that? Do you remember that?
Hell
Because
yeah.
that was the beginning of what has been the last year and a half of our life.
pretty awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
Look at her. She's like, yes, lots of work, but pretty awesome.
Well, how the heck?
Everything awesome requires a tremendous amount of work, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love you
hope
for
so.
knowing that.
I hope so. Mrs.
That
Ryan,
guy.
you talk to them because I got to move one last camera that I forgot to move.
Well, I'll just say hi. And here, I'm so glad you're back.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you're here. I see you out and about, but not like often.
You should be privileged. You should feel privileged. I don't ever do this.
Dude,
No,
I
I'm
feel
just
so
kidding.
privileged.
Well-
This is actually kind of the first one I've ever
Then
done.
I'm-
I don't do interviews. I'm like a behind the scenes kind of girl.
That's
Rod's
how it
really
goes.
good in front of the camera, so why should I?
I disagree with you, but I understand and feel similarly. But I kind of feel like we all get to be like, too bad. Throw caution to the wind.
I know for us, Mrs. Ryan, they're only looking at me because I'm next to you.
Ditto.
That's what's going on with
Ditto.
us for sure. So we listen to whatever comes
I
out of
noticed
my
the
mouth.
chairs are kind of aimed at her because,
Hello.
because you're like, you know what, we're just going to look at her anyways.
I'm trying to lull-
We might as well make it comfortable.
That's right. I'm trying to lull people into
actually not.
comfort. Exactly. Well, you guys, I don't know where to start. To say that you're an inspiration to us and people like us, I think, is probably a good place. You're an inspiration to people like us who, as a couple, found that our lives were better once we started working together.
Yeah.
And we became a better team in life once we started working together. Relationship aside, I feel like everything has gotten better as we got better as partners. Yeah. And that just sort of translated across the board. Does any of that resonate with you guys?
Oh, totally. I mean, I think it was 1998. I was pregnant with Zane. I was managing a retail store, and we decided that I was going to kind of take the leap and lose that income and join forces together. I mean, we were working together and doing things, but I hadn't left like a day job to.
It's the commitment when you actually break free.
So we kind of took that leap of faith and decided to go for it and never looked back. So here we are.
80 what was that?
1998.
98, okay.
A little over 20 years.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And do you have a history with that blue car as well? Was that around the same time?
No, I built that car when I was in high school.
Oh, okay.
So it was about 10 years earlier that I built that car. And
that's
really
where
the
my
business,
80s came in then.
Yeah, the business really didn't, I guess, take shape until 1996. So, previous to that, I mean, I built my first car in the late 80s and then started racing in 1990 and started going to the track and working on cars for people. But it really wasn't an established business until we got married. And then she watched me, try to wrestle the accounting side and the employee side. And I mean, at the time I only had like one or two employees and building and kind of doing all of it at once. And then by about, like she said, 1998, really it was kind of the end of 97 when she started really stepping in, when we started building our first Emory Special together. And then in beginning of 1998, she just jumped in and said, look, if we're going to do this, let's join forces. And we know that we love each other and we can spend 24 hours a day together. So let's just make this happen. And it's the best decision that we ever made because, you know how it is. You when you build a business, when you put your heart and soul into it, you want to make sure that the people that are around you are as passionate about it as you are, but also that you can trust. And there's nobody that I could trust as much as her. And
keeping it in the family.
Yeah, and she understood my needs. That I needed to be. I'm very creative and
your artistic needs.
Yeah, my artistic needs and
freedom a little bit,
and the entrepreneurial side. And she also knew that with that entrepreneurial side is a little bit of recklessness and kind of Wild West. And so, in order for us to build a real business out of it, she's the type that.
I'm more
very organized.
I let him be creative and. I take the other side of things.
Yeah, I mean, you walk in our house, there is not an item in our house.
I really appreciate your guys' place. It's right up my alley.
Yeah, there is nothing out of place in our house, like nothing.
Oh yeah, model home, right?
Every drawer,
I getcha.
the countertops. Seriously, it's like, but
he's that way in the shop.
Right. I was going to say, Mister, you're that way at work for sure.
I am.
Yeah.
But from the standpoint of like our business, she doesn't leave anything unturned. There's nothing that
you haven't touched or looked at or adjusted and made sure that is good.
And it allows me to just hammer down and build cars and know that there's somebody in the office that's making the right decisions for the better of the company and the employees and the customers, and that gets it.
That must be some confidence.
Yeah.
I mean, I know people who are very successful in business who don't have their number two, have that much confidence in their number two.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Well, and I think for us, it was also, if we were going to have kids, we wanted to be very much a part of their life. And my number one priority was, being able to volunteer in their schools and be there for them. And so by us being self-employed and working together, I could still raise our family. They could come to the shop. The kids could hang out and be there with us. And it was a very family-friendly, place.
You built it into the model.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can do that, I think that's probably the best way to go, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
like having the PR during production.
Yeah, and there's no textbook that says how to write or there's no textbook.
Yeah, we made a lot of mistakes.
That says this is how you run a family Porsche business that is gonna build cars and have clients and take people racing, and it was a lot of trial and error. And early on in our business, it was primarily focused on building vintage race cars, taking people racing, all over the country. And she's so good at organization and hospitality and cooking and all of those things that when we added semi trucks and feeding 70 people at the track and hotel rooms and golf carts and all the other things that were needed, she just it was almost like she'd been running an events business for 100 years. I mean, it just clicked, and I couldn't have done that part of it. And that was the foundation of our business for
I didn't realize that.
So many years.
It was more experientially based. It was
100%.
Not just the car. It was the car, the racing, the touring, the whole bit.
Yeah,
I don't know if I
I
realized
didn't know that was part
That
of
was
it.
a huge part of our life.
That's
our
amazing.
Kids kind of grew up at the racetrack.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew
Really?
you used to
Yeah.
do it. I didn't realize that giving that experience to your customers was part of the model. I didn't realize.
That was the foundation of the business, really. I mean,
Until about, 2009?
2009, yeah. I
Really?
mean, for me, I built my first race car, why? Like every little boy, to go racing.
Yeah.
I
Got
built
it.
a car so I could go racing.
Real
I
go-kart.
Wanted to be a race car driver, wanted to have sponsors and, be the guy, putting my helmet on every weekend. But the reality is, if you don't have deep pockets, you don't have a company behind you that can write the checks. It doesn't matter how much talent you have. It doesn't matter how much practice you put in. Your racing career is going to be short-lived. I mean, it's just a very, it's a very small percentage of people that can put the whole combination together. So for me, I built a race car and built a business in the beginning on building cars for people and taking them racing so that I could coach them. And then we added, once Amy came on board, we got married. She's like, wow, this is awesome. We can travel. We can provide this for our clients. That's when the business went from 1 or 2 customers to 20 customers that we were taking racing all over the country.
I can't even imagine your schedule.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm just flabbergasted having not known that. In my mind, you've been the guy who's always been in the shop.
No.
I had or racing. I had no idea.
Yeah. Well, from 98 until 2009, it was 10, 11 years of 12 to 14 events a year with 20 customers, 3 big trucks.
So you're going to the same events with all those customers, right? This is 20 customers at the same event, luckily.
At the same event.
But
I mean,
even that
there'd
might be
some
more headaches.
different
I don't
ones
know.
that wouldn't come to 1 or 2 or more. But yeah, it was like a little Porsche community because of course, they were all Porsches. So it wasn't like other people who did track support, took care of different models, makes. But ours was just,
Gosh, that is so cool.
primarily 356s, a couple of 911s or, 908s, 906s. But for the most part, it was just the little 356s.
Yeah.
So I know you as a racer, but you're just as established as a support.
Yeah.
For your clients and customers.
Right. So I was racing against all my customers, but I was also coaching them all.
What a dick move. It's so great.
And we would bring...
Oh, you're going to need to beef that thing up over there. I'm the guy who knows how to do that.
well, I was the carrot.
Is it really? Yes, of course.
And it was that way. I mean, we would kind of, our life was, we would build race cars during the week. On Thursday or Friday, we'd load them up in our trucks. I'd be prepping race cars with all of our employees. Amy would be at Costco runs,
getting bottled water and food. Yeah, of
planning
course.
the menu, loading the truck to make sure that we had it. We had to, because of the racetracks that we were going at, you either had to buy food from them or you had to fix it yourself. You couldn't cater it in because of the contract that they had with the restaurants there. So we had to cook all of our own food, and these clients weren't, they wanted more than just hamburgers and,
what do you mean?
hot dogs.
And that's what's available at the track,
on 4th of July, to keep it all American. But, we had to really get creative with our resources and what we had.
Yeah. So yeah, we'd roll the trucks in. We had one big semi that would hold 5 cars, but once the cars were out, it was a locker room. And then it would, so each one of our clients had their own individual locker. There were 2 bathrooms in it, a full commercial kitchen in the front. And so we'd unload the cars and Amy would turn it into a rolling country club. We had awnings that went all the way around. And then we'd roll out the barbecues and she would cook anything from tri-tip to shrimp, walnut shrimp to, Budweiser butt chicken, where you take the little thing and you stick a Budweiser in there and stretch a chicken over it, and she'd cook like 30 of those. It was awesome.
It was great. It was all the wives ended up starting to come to the races if they weren't already coming with their husband. It really
fun!
created
You guys all
it was a great atmosphere, community, and then of course in the evenings we'd put out a fire pit and everybody would sit around and break out harmonicas and guitars, and it was
power drills. Don't mind that again. Electricians backstage.
So that was the business.
Our kids had 10 sets of grandparents.
Yeah.
That's a nice life.
So it was great, and it was great when the kids were young, because we could take them with us, and we always had our kids in private school, or they started in Montessori, and so that there were schools that would allow us to take them traveling with us, because that was the most important thing. We didn't want to leave them behind, and so we'd travel to Daytona, or we'd go to Laguna Seca. We'd go.
If they're at a Montessori school, I'm assuming that they know the parents, and then they know, oh, these parents are going.
Yeah,
there's
they
no
were
problem
all about
here.
life experiences were just as important at that age as being in the classroom.
But
I could
see the perspective being like, oh, these carny folk going from town to town with their trailer. You know what I mean? Because they don't get what you're actually doing.
Right.
So that part wasn't a problem.
No,
okay.
They were very supportive.
Do you think that was helpful for your kids? Everybody, including Mrs. Ryan and I, are always looking at your kids, and we're so impressed. And we talk about the gene pool, and you're both of your morals and values and everything that probably went into that. But do you think that experience for them helped maybe make them who they are today, learning to grow up on the road where every day we're in a different, not every day we're in a different town.
They learned at a very young age to interact with adults. I mean, they had friends, but they could hold conversations and, just knew how to travel. I mean, at 3 years old, they knew how to put their shoes in, on the conveyor belt, and, they just were really
seasoned.
Yeah, and it put them in situations instead of just like living in this bubble. We were also kind of parents that, I don't know, a lot of people wouldn't agree with it. It wasn't like 8 o'clock, you got to be in bed, or, this set schedule. They learned to be very flexible because our life, instead of changing our life, we just took them and they molded to it.
I think that's fantastic, though.
Nice.
I think that probably did help. We were talking about fundamentals earlier. I feel like that probably helps a lot.
Well,
it's so wild.
And you look at our kids today, Zane, he started racing go-karts when he was little because it was around him. But then, if we look back now at photos and videos, when he was 5 or 6, he was, in his driver's suit, but he always had a guitar in his hand. He was running around the pits, and then he's singing and playing harmonica with everybody. And now we go, the signs were all there. It's so obvious that the kid was a born performer.
Yeah. But you see what you want to see, too, because you're like, oh, but he's around cars. So, of course.
He's got to be a race car.
Think of the picture of you way back when you were a kid and the counter and all that stuff.
Yeah. And then Jade, she's just always, she was very quiet when she was little. And then, she picked up on this aerial acrobatics. And, for her, she's adventurous. She loves going in the race cars. She loves going fast. And she loves speed. And it's obvious in what she does, flying through the air and, being 20 feet in the air, that she's a little bit more of a daredevil, a little bit more like me. Zane's a little bit more like his mom.
Definitely.
But it's fun to see the kids, develop and now find their own lane, Zane's, on some TV shows full-time.
On a lot of TV shows.
He's on a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, right now he's filming American Pie. Can we say that?
Yeah.
Oh.
They announced it.
What's that?
They announced it.
Yeah. So he's filming the new American Pie.
Congratulations.
He's also on the Goldbergs and the Rookie.
Yeah, the Rookie's the one I couldn't think
so
of.
So he's working. He's not going to Daytona with us this week. Unfortunately, he's bummed because he's working Thursday, Friday, and Monday. So, but
can't even do a long on the other side.
No.
Well, we should probably. That's probably a good transition to. You're only here for another few hours before you leave. You're heading to Daytona, yeah?
We are. We stopped the vintage track support kind of race part of the business in about 2009, 2010. Just economic changes. There weren't as many clients that wanted to go racing, just because of the way things, way things
the
were
climate,
at that
sure,
point.
yeah.
And that's when we really shifted into just really building more cars like you see us building today. Kind of transformed the business, but it never took the racing out of me. And now I, still go to the track and race for fun. And this particular weekend is going to be a pretty exciting one. We're flying to Daytona, and I'll be driving with. So we'll be kind of reliving 1985, 1986 Lowenbrow Racing, Al Holbert Racing.
Delivery?
So it's the Daytona Classic. So it's the Classic 24 event. So it's a 24-hour race, but one car doesn't run the entire 24 hours because they're vintage cars worth a lot of money and very historic. And so instead, it's more like a relay race where you've got multiple cars that like a 3-car team that'll run for an hour, then the next car goes and runs for an hour, then another one, and so you run 3 cars.
Okay.
Kind of almost pass the baton, right? So that's the way the classic runs. It still runs from 2 p.m. until 2 p.m., so it's 24 hours.
Yeah.
But each car gets 6 to 8 hours of race time instead of 24.
Is it different drivers?
It is. So that's where this gets exciting.
Question.
So the 24 Hours of Daytona, the original 24 Hours of Daytona in the series that ran, it's usually, 2 or 3 drivers with 1 car. This is, there's going to be 6 of us driving a total of 3 cars. And 1985-1986 championship was won by Derek Bell and Al Holbert in the Lowenbrow 962.
You like Derek Bell's voice from my game.
Yeah, so kind of a bucket list, dream team item for me is that we're going to Daytona this time with Gunner Racing, and Gunner Racing has 3 of the Lowenbrow cars.
Are you actually family, or are you just almost blood?
We're almost blood. Uncle Kevin. So on the driving team is going to be myself, Gunner Jeanette, so Kevin Jeanette's son, who's a very accomplished race driver and coach, and then Derek Bell, Justin Bell.
Oh, my goodness.
And Rodrigo Salas, who's one of my clients that I'm building a car for, but also has a 550 Spider that's the most original unrestored car, plus a whole lot of other cars.
Wow.
But he's the owner of the Lowenbrow 962.
Okay.
So it'll be him. And then the coolest thing for me, by the way, today is Al Holbert's birthday. Al
Happy
passed
birthday.
away years ago, but it's his birthday. But his son, Todd Holbert, who works for Toyota Racing Development, has never really been a race car driver, grew up as the son of one of the, most accomplished, most famous Porsche race drivers of all time. But Todd Holbert is going to be on the race team with us, driving the Holbert Racing 914 and the Lowenbrow 944 with me. So it's going to be really exciting.
That sounds amazing.
We've got Lowenbrow race suits. We've got a 3-car team, all Lowenbrow.
And Kevin, he doesn't miss anything.
Kevin Jeanette at Gunner Racing. It's all about the details. So we fly out tomorrow morning, and we're going to go and run the Lowenbrow team and spend the weekend with Derek and Justin Bell and Holbert and Rodrigo and the Gunner Racing family.
Sounds
Kevin
amazing.
And everybody. So.
And that's just for the weekend. And you'll be back next week, back in the shop.
It
probably.
is. Yeah, we'll be testing Wednesday. Then we'll do some racing on Thursday and Friday in preparation for the Classic 24, and we'll be back to work Monday. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Do you know where that'll be covered? I'm sure on ESPN or something, but don't know.
Yeah, I mean it's vintage
listings.
racing, so it's it's not like
sometimes they tape them and put them on at night though, or
kinda
whatever.
Like the historics, maybe.
So it's HSR is who the sanctioning body is, and it'll be really great. It's going to be a lot of fun. And
well, it sounds like I just thought it was a neat trip for you, but it sounds like this is actually like a bucket list type of deal. I mean, this is a big.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is a really big deal. I mean, growing up, loving 962s and kind of the all of this stuff.
Will you be driving ones? Well, you said the which cars?
Yeah, so I'll be driving the 944, the Lowenbrow 944, the Holbert Racing 914-6, and then.
Oh, so you're doing multiple.
Yeah, and then there's also a 997 GT3 Cup car that we'll potentially put into the mix, and if so, I'll drive that car. I've got a lot of experience at Daytona and GT3, so. It'll be fun.
That's awesome.
It's going to be pretty exciting.
That's awesome. Well, GT3, nice segue. You're Mr. Segway today.
Yeah.
You, and again, Porsche Experience Center week. You had a weekend at the Porsche Experience Center in a GT3. You want to talk about that at all?
Yeah, so, as
Just
you know,
this past weekend.
As you know, we're all very fortunate in Los Angeles to have that facility here. There is one in Atlanta, but I think that the one here in Los Angeles is over the top. It's just so amazing. especially with the Cars and Coffee that takes place, or the morning shift.
Morning shift, yeah.
Which is once a month, and different themes of cars. I think this month was GT cars. We've had a 356 theme. We've had transaxle theme. All kinds of really cool stuff. But
and it's not just Porsche too. If you happen to be a Porsche fan but maybe not have a Porsche, you can bring whatever you've got.
Yeah, so it's just such a great facility. You got Porsche Motorsport on the other side of the glass.
Now you're talking.
Which is cool, because we can all go in there and pretend that we're factory Porsche race car drivers and look in there and see the cars that we dream about.
Because it's awesome.
Because it is awesome.
Yeah, and Eric, my gosh, it's just so much fun. It's like family over there.
It's a beautiful facility that you don't get to just see on the street.
And you're right about we're lucky. We're really lucky, and it almost makes you jaded because you just feel like everybody just has access to this stuff, and it's not at all true.
No.
It's really special. And so about 3 or 4 months ago, I think it was in June, I had even though the facility's been there almost 3 years, this weekend is the third anniversary on Saturday, which unfortunately we're not going to be there because I'm going to be...
Because you're living a bucket list item. That's racing. A perfectly reasonable reason.
That's right. I'm racing. But... being involved in the whole facility, I just never went and took the experience part of it, 100%, and did the course until June. Myself and Jeff Swart went and spent the day and drove cars and did the off-road course and all that. And I just fell in love with it. I was amazed at how well the program is run. And I think going into it, I was like, I've been racing my whole life. I've been driving Porsches my whole life. Is it really going to be something that I'm going to get something out of? And,
right.
What's different?
Yes.
Exactly.
Taking the words out of my mouth. Absolutely.
Yeah. I just because I guess I didn't totally understand it. The moment I got in the passenger seat with my coach, which he only took me for 2 laps, and then put me in the driver's seat for the remainder of the time, I was blown away. To have that quiet whisper in your ear of, more throttle, less throttle, brake input, less steering input, and be able to go out there and experience all their modules or their different courses just blew me away. And I left there on such a high that I was like, man, I have to share this with everybody.
Wow.
And so a friend of mine who has really been one of my closest friends, in fact, he's the reason that I ended up marrying this
oh my goodness gracious
lady.
Wow.
His name's Marlo LaFontaine, great friend of mine that I raced against as a kid. He's a little older than me. In fact, it's his 60th birthday, or it was yesterday. But he's the one that lived in southern Utah that was developing some property, kind of a departure from my car world, that I moved to southern Utah and moved to this little town and met the love of my life.
Wow.
And he took me under his wing and teached me. It really taught me a lot about business and life. And I lived in his basement for a little while. And, we all go through a point in our life when you kind of question if what you're doing is the right lane. And
glad to hear you say that.
And and that
Thanks,
that for me, well, we do. It's and that for me was from 20 to 22 years old. I kind of departed from the car world completely, and got into construction and had a little countertop business and met Amy, and that was when all the pieces started clicking together. But it was because of this good friend of mine, Marlo, that I ended up in that little town and had that opportunity. Well, this weekend was his 60th birthday, and his wife, Carol, asked me, she goes, what could we do for Marlo that would be fun, exciting, and special for him for his 60th birthday? She goes, what do you think about that Porsche place you always go to? So we set it up with Jen, and we had the Porsche Experience Center on Saturday. We both drove GT3s. Now he's been one of my closest friends my whole life, but he's never driven a Porsche.
Any Porsche.
Well,
let alone a new modern.
Off-road 911.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
I had an off-road 911 that I bought that he partnered with me on back in like 2000. That was a full-on rally, like Baja 911. And so because we both grew up off-road racing.
But a modern, like 911.
He hadn't driven one. And so we surprised him on Saturday with a full session in a GT3. So he and I both got in GT3s on Saturday. Cool. And then we had a dinner at the 917 restaurant, which if If you haven't been there,
So
it's
delicious.
so delicious.
Yeah.
Especially those pretzel
pretty good.
rolls and that butter and a little bit of salt. It's just unbelievable. But so we got an opportunity to really share his birthday with him and let him have some fun and now I think he's thinking that he needs a GT3. But it was.
Who doesn't after they drive one?
That's right. It was a lot of fun. So yeah, the Experience Center is just such a special place.
What,
on so many levels.
I mean, how was was he blown away? I mean, what was it
Mind-blowing.
about it? I mean, was it the speed? Was it the J turn? I mean, what
He talked a lot about the brakes, of how well they brake.
Really?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that's part of that experience too, is when they tell you harder, drilling it harder. You're not braking hard enough, and you're like, "What? My face is on the hood. What are you talking about?"
Yeah, I mean, I think he knew, that they had power and they would handle great, but
performance.
I don't think he knew how good the brakes were on a Porsche. So,
Let alone one of those.
Yeah. So I think the whole experience for him. I mean, everything from showing up there totally surprised, us being right there as the doors open, getting him signed up.
He thought we were still at SEMA, so it was a real shocker.
That's a really good birthday gift. That's pretty rad.
It was pretty awesome.
Oh, he literally didn't even think you were in town.
No.
Oh, that's so
'Cause
cool. That's a
when
double.
No.
When his wife was driving him there, at first he was like, well,
It would be fun
at
if.
the Porsche Experience Center, but Rod's not in town. He's in SEMA, so there's no way we'd go
So we
there.
must be going to the Queen
Mary
Mary
or the blimp and
because they live
so
out in Redlands.
funny.
So to take the drive, out, like he's a developer, he's
so he knows land.
Yeah,
he knows where he's going.
he's like
You're blowing the secret by driving
Yeah,
west, is your
exactly.
point. Yeah.
It's like, where are we headed? And she's like, just wait. And then they pulled in, and obviously once he got there, he's like, wait a second, this is.
But
I
he
think it
still didn't think we were going to be there.
That's so cool.
That's really neat.
Oh man, look at
So
you!
is that.
You're still giving experiences away.
Absolutely.
Porsche Experience Center.
Yeah.
That's so wild. Well, what's the future of your guys' business? I mean, it sounds like I'm wrapping up, but where are you going to keep just building cars? Because the client base, I'm assuming, isn't going away, luckily. I mean, is that it, or are there other things in the works? Because they're looking at each other like there's a big fucking secret.
No, there's no secrets. No, I mean, I think for us, it's really just about continuing to build, amazing cars and make them better and better. I'm one that I'm a racer at heart, so just like anybody that races cars, you're always looking for a little more speed or a little better handling or a little more performance, and I'm trying to do that in all the cars that we're building. Everything from the style of the cars that we're building to the performance and driving experience for our clients, and I think that's really where it's headed, is just continuing to up the game. I think eventually we'll kind of mix a little bit of that culture or experience back into what we do, especially now that the kids are grown up and Zane is established and a working actor, and Jade, she's going to UNLV and off to college next year. So Amy and I at that point will be able to roll back into doing some events, and I think that we'll do some tours for our clients around the world in certain areas, give us an opportunity to do some traveling. And a lot of our clients would like to, do a European drive or, drives in different parts of the country. So
That'd be fun.
so, the
Going with you
requirement will
guys?
be you
Yeah.
have to be driving an Emery car. And
Oh, I don't know. That seems kind of.
but
I like it.
come on, nah. But
I like
it. Well, there will be some exclusive Emery car events. Come on.
Yeah.
But we'll also do some other events. But really, it's it's about giving people the experience and letting them have fun with their Porsches and adding that element.
For you working with, but forgive the term, but these old cars, you don't only drive these old cars. Your regular cars, a GT3 RS. I mean, you drive all sorts of other non-Porsche vehicles too. We're talking about sort of the evolution and getting each little more crank, and more horsepower, a little more handling. How is that going from one? We are lucky; we drive one car all the time. So for us to refine that is very easy. Oh, I know when it's different. I know when there's a change. You drive everything, and of all these different varieties too. How I don't know what I'm even asking, but I'm kind of curious how that dichotomy works within what you do, the new and the old, and then bringing some of that new from that over there into this old. And is that too much? Is that the right amount? I guess it's going back. I'm asking the artist question. I guess maybe that it's not more of a business question. It's an artist question. Where is that line for you with the new and the old? How do you blend it? Is there a line? Is it always moving?
For me, I mean, the foundation of our business and the love of the cars for me started with the 356. I love the model. I love the car. It's the beginning of really, it's the foundation of Porsche. But Porsche continued to evolve that design and technology and made the cars faster and stop better and all of that. But they stopped that poor little 356 model in 1965.
Yeah.
So I kind of, have taken it on as my life's work to, let the 356 live on.
Yeah.
And gain some of that, technology and drivability that Porsche developed into the later cars. And so for me, one of the reasons that I drive, my daily driver is a 996 twin turbo. That's what I drive. That's what I drove here today.
Cool.
That's kind of like my beater, No, it's my little,
but that's your daily? Sure.
It's my daily,
It's his get off Sherman Way and see how far he can go before he has to brake.
That's right. I just drive the heck out of that thing, and it just keeps on giving. And so, that's my daily driver. But, on the weekends, I'm driving a GT3 RS or like this weekend, I drove everything from a 996 to a GT3 to a 356 to an old, 1950s Ford. But it's really about taking some of that technology and drivability from the newer Porsches or the experience of the newer Porsches and dragging some of that down into the cars that we're building, but not losing the charm and the feel and spirit of the 356. So, and it's a fine balance because
that's what I was going to say. You're describing this perfect area, but how do you, the artist, make that certain, like, how do you decide that, okay, this is right, but that's too much?
It's the really tough part of my job.
Okay.
I drive Porsches all the time. And I just,
that sucks, man. I'm sorry.
I just have to drive Porsches all the time.
Oh,
and I have to drive, her Macan GTS. I got to drive a Panamera. I got to drive them all because I know. But the truth is really just looking at everything that Porsche's ever built and just picking those items and those experiences and some of that drivability that I want to try and infuse into a 356. We're not going to. I don't want to make a 356 drive like a new Cayman. That's not the goal. The goal is it needs to still have the heart and soul of a 356. But
and that is, I guess, where it's your art and it can't be replicated. It's going to be, that's what an Emory is, and it's almost, you can't describe it.
Yeah,
I kind of like that. That's great.
It's always going to have that German square weave carpet, that little hint of, wool carpet and a little gasoline and a little vibration.
The smell?
It's got the smell, it's got the vibration, it's got the taste, it's, everything, I walked in the house last night and Amy, she goes, yeah, you're driving a car with carburetors today.
Oh my gosh.
So, because, carburetors, and fuel,
different smell.
A little different smell, and it's just, that's the fun of it. You don't want to take away all that.
You know what I'm saying, though, right? At one point, disc brakes, you don't do that in a 356, and now that's kind of you do.
For you, though.
Well, good. That's kind. I guess maybe that was the question.
You're always pushing the envelope.
Well, you got to shake them
but
up.
That's good.
So not only
you could never just
no.
I would call some of your
bored.
cars, okay, that's an evolution of what Porsche could have done had they kept on going, for sure. But you also get pretty experimental with what I would call prototype type cars like your RSR.
Oh,
now that's a monster. Is there anything you want to talk about that? Because that's 11 plus.
Right, and it's a total monster, and that kind of
in the best way.
That kind of comes back to the racing side of me, where it's like, you know what?
If I could,
if I could just keep pushing it, how light can I make it? How fast can I make it? How big of brakes can I put on it? And not so focused on, kind of the prettiness of a little 356, but let's, what would you do if you wanted to just make a race car, wild and crazy? And, look at the 935, for example.
That's it, though.
It's, a 935 was a 911 that just all of a sudden was like a blowfish, and
I hate
big
the
tires
term on steroids, but that was for sure on
was,
steroids.
Yeah, it was, take everything and just blow it out, big fenders, big wing, exaggerate
Sir, this won't fit. Make more room.
Gotta have room for two big turbos coming off the back, and so that little car was just, let's focus on just, making the thing super fast, handle amazing, and the rest of it is, not as important, but we still wanted to keep it in the kind of
the family.
The family,
of the
and
356.
so yeah, it was a
Well,
fun
and every bit
project.
of it is built just like the rest of your cars. All of it, you know what I mean? It's not like, oh, that's the rough riding racing version over there. Like, no, go look at the craftsmanship and coachwork. It's all the same. It's
Yeah.
just as good.
Yeah.
It's kind of amazing.
So and now, we built that car really as a test. We built it for a client that owns Momo, the wheel company, and we used that as a promotional vehicle at SEMA for 2 years and kind of show people some of their products, but also just let people have fun seeing kind of a work in progress type car. We took it to SEMA this year and drove it on the track Speed Vegas, did some track stuff with it. But all the stuff that we learned on that car is now being packaged into 4 other cars that we're building in the shop that will look more traditional, but have the power, the brakes, the intercoolers, the handling of all that just under the skin.
Somehow we got the answer to my last question now. That's amazing. That's amazing.
So,
wow, that's really cool. Do people know about that? That's what you're doing?
not really,
Because that sounds to
Yeah,
someone like me really exciting.
we have
Rod
some-
Emery's up to something new.
Yeah, we've got some pretty amazing little
so
cars
new.
that are definitely the, as far as 356s go, it's the wolf in sheep's clothing. Look a little more subtle, but they're
That's kind of what you've always done too.
fire-breathing monsters.
Kind of your MO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your face lights up when you talk about the secrets that you're doing.
Yeah.
It's really neat.
Well, for me, it's not as much about like, making something pop, like one thing stand out. Like I want everything on the car to be muted a little bit, so that you almost look at it and say, did he change the angle of the windshield or the head? What's so different about that car? Well, everything. The headlights are moved, the windshield's moved, the doors are moved. So you can't really pick up on all the little things. So
How
that's the
tired
fun.
of you are you pointing all that stuff out? I can't even imagine how it must be for you.
A lot of times I don't
see you
even-
on other shows. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
A lot of
like,
times I
can't
don't
imagine.
even point it out. I just
let
stand
them
back
guess.
and I let them
That's
guess.
fun.
And,
Is that almost easier?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the fun part.
Oh gosh. Are they like your kids in a weird way? I hate to make the comparison because
Yes,
you actually have
they are
kids,
for
but
him.
Yeah, and people always
He
ask.
bursts them like before they leave. He
That's how
spends
I
like 24 hours with them all night. It does not matter. It's always an all-nighter.
Every
Always.
single car. There's always a all night, 24
Doesn't
hours,
matter.
nobody in the shop at night,
It's
just
just
me.
him in the car.
And she'll call me at like 4 and 5 in the morning. Are you still alive?
Yeah.
I'm alive. What are you doing?
sure
I thought you were
everything's
done with
good.
the car. No, I'm not done. Because there's all the
That's the
little
artist
tweaks.
right there.
And it doesn't matter if the car, is done and it sits there, but the moment before we're gonna like give it to the client or take it somewhere, I still spend all night with it because it's just part of it,
I love hearing all this stuff because it sounds like him applicable to other creative endeavors.
Yeah.
It just makes so much sense. And hearing that there's another survivor.
Survivor. Yeah.
Just there's some days that you're just like, I don't know what's happening. Like, why are you with the car again? Like, I don't understand.
Like, what's wrong? What are you changing? What happened?
But it's beautiful. You guys do beautiful stuff, so it all makes sense. Thanks for everything you do.
Yeah. Almost 24 years strong we've been together.
That's
So
right.
Well, I guess I probably know the answer to this then. People ask Mrs. Ryan this question a lot. I was going to ask you, but I think you answered it already. Let's just see. Are you a fan of the cars or are you a fan of his?
Both.
Both.
I mean, I appreciate other Porsches and other builders. Of course, I'm probably more a fan of his
Sure.
than I am.
There's
of
no
the
wrong
cars.
answer. I was just curious because you seem to live it as much.
I think it's both, but I think I'm very passionate. I love watching him create and the things that he comes up with. I mean, I have to admit, when I saw the RSR at first, it was like, I don't know. I think you may have lost it on this one.
If I may, that's because you knew what it looked like done,
He
and
did
none of
get
us saw it
that.
for 3 years. We didn't know what it was going to look like done. Only you knew.
I saw the rendering, but I didn't quite get the back end. Like, I was like,
The Vader helmet. That's my
yeah,
favorite
I
part.
was just like, are you gonna do anything? Like, you're just gonna leave that there?
You're like, no, I'm going to finish it
He's
underneath.
like, just wait. And then once, like, I think he had forgot to explain to me, like, the 935 part of it. And once I saw that, I was like, oh, I get it now. Like,
Then it makes
I
sense,
get
yeah.
it. I
as soon as
get
she
it.
saw that little panel
Oh,
and the
you
two
buried-
little taillights.
Buried the lead there.
But I mean, I just have to let him, like, do his process. Most of the time I get, I mean, sometimes I'll be like, No, but it always, he knows what he's doing, and it always turns out. I mean, it's fun to see all the different creations and, them build it with the clients and what they come up with and what he won't let them do. And
that's great. That's you sticking to your, yeah. Right.
It shows you the
appreciate your ideas.
Yeah.
But no,
But
we
no.
don't do that.
I mean, somebody would probably do that for you.
Yes.
And I have to do that all the
that's really
time.
what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
and that's fine. That's how you guys create your creative integrity.
That's how you protect your
Yeah,
guys,
so to
what you're
go
making.
back, I mean, I'm definitely not, I wouldn't say I'm passionate about cars. I'm passionate about Porsches. Like, I'm really brand loyal.
That's totally fair.
Yeah.
I think we probably share that. I don't know if you're a car person, but you've become such a Porsche fan.
I've
Yeah.
become a Porsche fan. I'm a fan of you, and it's the same thing of like watching you create. Like, I know that it's a weird way to see. I see that happen in you when we're around Porsches. Like, I see the wheels turn.
Well, they're inspiring, especially if you're around something that somebody else made, like an EMORY.
Totally. So I see what Amy's talking about of like watching the creation happen. It's like that's all I really am interested in. Cars are gorgeous.
Yeah.
Porsche specifically, but I like what it makes you guys think of.
Well, and it's such a community with it. I
Yeah.
mean, the cars are
Yes.
really what bring people together from all walks of life, and that's what's very fun and interesting too, is the people that you meet that you wouldn't necessarily
Totally.
Connect with if it wasn't for the Porsche.
That we've been grateful for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of amazing. Some of our what are nowadays our best friendships
Yeah.
came from this community that people we would never have even known existed on this planet if it weren't for
Right.
YouTube and this event and that thing. And then we met
Yeah.
here and had dinner here, and then we became.
It's a really unique, cool, creative through line that connects us all. So I'm really interested in that. That's
There's a family element to it, especially here in Los Angeles. And I
Yeah.
don't know if it's just because we're so saturated by it's just there's a lot of what we do around, but I feel that I don't know. Everyone kind of looks out for each other. Or at least we feel that people are looking out for us, and so we're doing it obviously.
yeah,
in
no,
turn.
absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
it really is a pretty tight knit community. I mean, it extends beyond Southern California, but this is a pretty special and unique place because we
The
do
car culture
we
here
run
is
into each
so-
other at least once a month.
Right.
At some event. I mean,
Oh, maybe that's part of it. You can't avoid each other, so we have to be
Right,
family.
it's kind of like
oh,
family.
that's a really good point.
No matter what, I gotta like you because
Uncle Earl.
I'm gonna see you at the Peterson, or I'm gonna see you in Malibu, or I'm gonna see you at PEC.
You're
So
it's
just
so
bite my
simple.
tongue. No, but it really is. It's a sense of community that we're very fortunate to be in this area, and we've got beautiful weather, which means we do
driving
this
all the
We do
time.
this 12 months out of the year. I posted something the other day just for fun, but the amount of messages that I got with regards to it's 90 degrees, it's beautiful, here in Southern California. So grateful to be here, but really, California has its challenges, but the weather, the community, the people, and the Porsches, there's nothing like it anywhere on the planet.
And the Porsche Experience Center down in Carson. What a great way to wrap that up. Holy smokes.
Got it all in.
Emery's, is there anything else we didn't cover that we want to today? We love you both so very much. I mean, it's just a delight that you're here. We really appreciate your time and the fact that you came for us.
Yeah,
It means a lot.
It was great. No, thank you for having us. And
Thanks for being here.
She's going to go back and finish packing for our trip. I'm going to put my welding helmet back on and get back to work.
You
and,
came right from the shop, right? And you're going right back to the shop.
Literally, like as we're driving, because I wear headphones and a welding helmet, so as we're driving, I'm going
He's
like
like, my
this,
hair's a wreck. I'm like, oh.
and dirty knees, and back to the shop.
I know it's nearby, but the fact that you left in the middle to come over and do this, it means the world to us. It's a big deal.
Awesome.
So thank you so much. And you coming on at all, holy
Yeah,
smokes.
this is not my thing.
Come back sometime without your husband. We can really talk. This is awesome. We'll find out what it's really like, to be the Porsche wife behind the scenes.
Yes, we'll find out what that's like.
I'm sure you will.
All right, Mrs. Ryan, let's wrap it up here. What do we have to... Oh, hang on. Goodness gracious, I don't have my thing. But Billboard, this is the time when we find out how can people catch up with our guests. In this case, it's Rod and Amy Emery.
Everything that's
Social
going on,
media,
Emily.
any plugs, anything coming on? I know you're going to Daytona.
I mean, I think the best way to kind of keep tabs on what we're doing is Instagram. It's the easiest.
Yeah.
We don't do much. There's a little spillover on Facebook and stuff like that, but just at Rod Emery and at Amy Emery.
That's your jam.
That's the easiest.
Instagram.
Yeah.
Cool.
You post a lot too. You post great stuff. Oh God.
Yes.
I try to, it's my outlet to be able to just interact with the community a little bit and keep it real.
I think part of it is I follow your whole family, so I think you know what I'm saying. So there's 4 accounts,
yeah,
and you're always doing stuff together, which is amazing,
yeah.
and somebody is always posting. That's the way to do it. They all take turns, and then you don't have to post as much.
That's right.
You got it all figured out, mister.
You really did figure it out.
All right, Mrs. Ryan, what do we have tomorrow? We don't know yet tomorrow,
I don't
right?
know yet.
All right, G.I. Jen's working on that. There's been everything's up in the air as things go. I know that Thursday Jeff's Word will be here, so until then, we'll see you tomorrow. Yeah. My goodness, Mrs. Ryan, I love you so much. Emory's, we love you
Thanks
so
for having
very
us.
much.
Thank you.
Love everybody at home. Please love one another, and we will see you tomorrow.